Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the BNS channel. My name's EdieAnne. This is not a video that I want to do, and matter of fact, I've taken at least 10 takes before being able to get to this one. You saw in the title, it is called Tarlov Cyst Disease, and I want to share my journey with you in hopes that it can help somebody else. So this is kind of a long video. If you're not really wanting to sit this long, then I'm going to encourage you to move on. Go find a Sensi video. It's going to be much happier than this one. But I think it's important I share my journey. I also want to document it for myself and for my family. Because Tarlov Cyst Disease is progressive and it will continue to get worse. There is no cure. There are 2 surgeons in the United States that I know of that are specialized in doing this type of surgery. One in Texas. His name is Dr. Feigenbaum. He's the OG. He's the one that kind of created this specific surgery. And then Dr. Schrott in California. I think there might be one in Philadelphia, but I'm not hearing the greatest things about him. So, but there are others. I'm sure there are others. Just be careful. If you're watching this video because you're trying to get information, get the information, okay? Get the information. So my journey up until this point has been fairly eclectic. Most doctors blamed the pain that I felt from being overweight prior to 2018. Any pain that I had, no matter what it was, they always said you need to lose weight. And part of that is true. Listen, every 10 pounds that you lose, there's 4 pounds of pressure removed off of your joints. So I guess it's true, right? But all that did was push aside any pain and I would get to the point where I just didn't go to the doctor anymore because I knew what they were going to say, right? At one point, I had an x-ray done and they said that I needed to have a hip replacement. So they referred me to a surgeon, and the surgeon came back and said, it's too soon, we're not going to do surgery on you. Okay? That's going to play a very important part in this documentation, by the way, that I think is going to be very important for others to know. And so I got a cortisone shot. It would help. So then in 2018, I had my gastric bypass surgery, and I lost 125 pounds in that first year. Everything was great. No pains. I was feeling wonderful. I'd lost a lot of weight. My body was like, woo, thank you, whatever. And then in that second year after, and this is TMI, but I want to share it because I think it's important, I started to have pain during mommy daddy sexy time. So I went to a specialist. We did physical therapy. We had like pelvic floor therapy. We did holistic bio, I can't remember the name. But it's hormones, right? They were trying to fix my hormones. I did medicine, like actual medicine. I had everything from pills to creams to whatever. Just went down a rabbit hole. Let's just put it that way. And nothing seemed to be helping. And so I gave it up. Like everything else, it's like, okay, nothing's helping. I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to live with it. It is what it is. That used to be my favorite saying, and I hate it. It is what it is. It became my favorite saying because I had no answers. Like I was never getting any results and I wasn't getting any answers. So then fast forward to 2021, I had an episode where my back and my hip was hurting really bad, and it lasted for about a week. And so I went to the doctors. She did an MRI and kind of said, well, it looks like it might be your hip. You already were told that you're going to need a hip replacement, so how about let's start with cortisone shots. So did a cortisone shot. It helped. And when it helped, I move on because Edie's motto is, as long as I have quality of life and I can do things and stay independent and be physically able, then I'm good. We're not going to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of a thing. And I am a very independent person. Like, I want to do things on my own. I'd rather do it on my own. And I'm busy, right? And so as long as I'm not in pain, or the pain is tolerable, which I have a very high tolerance for pain, which might not be a great thing, but it is if you're wanting to do stuff. And so the cortisone shot worked back then. She decided to put me on prednisone. So remember, this was 2021, gastric bypass 2018. I'm also going to precursor that we live in a very small town. Unless it's a cold or just something that's a regular ailment, there's not a lot of specialty doctors in our area. Listen, I don't want to put anybody down, but our medical services are not up to par where I live, period. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? And I'm not going to name any names of doctors except for the two that I just named that are the specialists in Tarlov Cyst Disease. So she put me on prednisone for a week. The pain dulled, but it didn't go away. So she decided that I needed another round of prednisone. So I did another week of prednisone. The pain went away. So I'm like, okay, quality of life back. Off I go. So 2024, 2021. Again, did the MRI. She said it was a hip issue, so we moved on. A couple times in the last 3 years, because it's 2024 right now, I had episodes where it would last about a day or two at most that I had back pain. And they usually were right at the dimples of my lower back, or they would kind of go into my hips, but it was never in the same place. That was confusing to me. So that's why I was like, well, I don't know, maybe it's just deferred pain from my hip. Made sense. So I would ice it, it would go away. I'd wake up in the morning, it would go away. It was just a very fleeted span of pain that I would get. And a lot of times I would just say, okay, you did too much the day before, lay low today. I have the ability to do that. With Sensi, I'm very blessed that I can run my life the way that I want to, because I run my business the way that I want to, right? I can do it from home, I can do it from anywhere, whether that's my couch or my bed. That too is going to play a big part of this. Okay, so fast forward to 9 weeks ago. 9 weeks ago, I started having the pain again, and I thought, okay, well, it'll go away. Well, after a week, it hadn't. So I thought, I'm in big trouble because it's not going away. And it was the worst that it had been. Super excruciating. I'd wake up from bed. I couldn't sleep at night because it was so painful. And so I decided to call my PCP, my doctor's office, to see if I could get in. Couldn't right away. And they said they'd put me on a cancellation list. So I thought, well, I'm going to call my chiropractor. Now, I also want to let you know, I had gone to the chiropractor in the past for this and was told that there really wasn't a lot he could do for adjusting anymore because of arthritis in my neck, arthritis in my spine, and he didn't think it was going to really help. So I'd stopped going to chiropractor. But at that point, I'm kind of like looking for all ways to relieve this pain because it was so bad and it was really impinging on my quality of life because I wasn't doing much. I had to sit down on ice almost all day. I'd go in my hot tub. I'd do hot and cold, and it was just not really relieving it. It would for a little bit, like half an hour, and then it would come back. So I call the chiropractor. Well, the chiropractor office that I went to has a new chiropractor. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. So then I decided, since this is the same pain that I had in 2021, I'm going to print the report that went with the MRI that I did and bring it to him. Because they're not in the system, right? They're not in the same system. So I give the report to the receptionist. I give it to the chiropractor. So while I'm waiting to go in, he'd have a chance to look at it. I get into the office and he says to me, he was kind of dramatic, but it's okay. So, did you have your 6-month follow-up MRI done? And I said, what do you mean? I said, no. I said, that's the only one that I had in 2021. He goes, can I read something to you? I said, by all means. He goes, you have a hemangioma on T11, which is a blood-filled cyst, and you have what they're calling a Tarlov cyst on your S1. no idea what that means. He goes, but here's the key. On the report, it says revisit in 6 months. Did you revisit in 6 months? I'm like, no, nobody told me this. I said, I had no idea that I had cysts on my spine. They told me I had degenerative disc disease and arthritis. He's like, well, you do, but that's not probably what's giving you pain. So then he decided that he couldn't adjust me because he didn't want to aggravate those more than they already were. So they did ultrasound heat treatment, and he set me up for multiple visits to do that, and that was it. He goes, I need you to do another MRI. Let's go do that today. So he orders the MRI. I go back to the hospital. Now you got to remember, there's like half an hour in between each of these places that I'm going to. So I go get the MRI done. And meanwhile, my PCP office calls me and says, we have a fill-in PA that will take you today or tomorrow. I forget what it was, but anyway. And do you want to do that? So she gives me the name of the PA, and I'm like, absolutely. Like, this is not divine intervention, because this PA worked for the pain management and the orthopedic in our office. So she was already well versed in the spine and the hips and the shoulders, anything that had to do with orthopedics. Probably not as much with the spine, but more so, right? Because she's whatever. So I go into the office. She has the MRI results, and she sits down with me and says, there's another cyst in there. And I said, where? And she's like, S2. So she said, you still have your hemangioma, you still have the S1, and now you have an S2. Compared to 2021, the cysts haven't grown, the ones that were already there, they're still the same. And they look kind of gel-like. So less fluid and more gel-like. So they've coagulated, if that makes sense. And so she says, but then you have this other one. And I said, okay, so what does this mean? And she goes, I'm not sure. She goes, I need to look into it. I need to figure this out. And so she said, I need to put you on some kind of pain management. She said, because we got to get you out of this pain. So now we're into week 2. And we have, then she gives me prednisone because it worked last time. And I take 1 week, the pain doesn't go away. And something that morning, something in my head said, Edie, are you supposed to be taking steroids? And so I called my surgeon's office for gastric bypass, and without even hesitation, they're like, no steroids, no NSAIDs, ever, for the rest of your life. I'm like, why? And they said, because it causes stomach ulcers in gastric bypass patients. I'm like, and they're like, that's really hard to get rid of. You're not going to want that. So I'm like, oh my God. So I have dodged a bullet now 3 times, 4 times, 5 times with cortisone shots. So I've had 3 cortisone shots, 2 cortisone shots, and 3 rounds of prednisone. So I go back, I get another appointment with my PCP. I go back and I said, I'm not supposed to take these. I said, can you call my surgeon in that Bangor area? And she's like, absolutely. She calls, she's like, no, not happening. So now she's like, I don't know what to give you. I don't know how to help with your pain. She said there are some options, like a nerve block. She said we could do a nerve ablation, maybe. She goes, I'm not sure what this disease allows for. She goes, I'm not educated in this. I want to be, and I'm gonna be, but I'm not right now. So I'm like, okay. So she gives me Lyrica. No, she gives me Vicodin first, because that's what I told her. I said, that's the only one that I can take that doesn't give me a reaction. So I can't take oxycodone. I can't take all of these other, like Percocet or anything, because it gives me a reaction. I'm allergic to them. Hydrocodone is the only one that I've ever taken during surgeries or anything that does not give me a reaction. So she's like, okay, I'll give it to you. It's a low dose, but I'll give it to you. So of course I take it, and I'm like, I can't function during the day on this. Like, I can only take it at night. I don't know that this is helping. It was such a low dose, and in order for me to get any kind of relief, I had to take a higher dose of it, and then I was not functioning. I couldn't, like, I wasn't gonna be able to function during the day. Like, I wouldn't be able to do things. I wouldn't be able to drive. I wouldn't be able to work. Like, I just mentally, I wasn't functioning properly, right? You get loopy. So she's like, okay, I'm gonna try Lyrica with you. So she gave me Lyrica. Well, doesn't seem to be touching the pain. The first day I take it during the day, I'm fast asleep, like out. So I'm like, that's not gonna work. I said, but I can take it at night. So that was helping me. The Lyrica was the only relief that I got during the night. So that was a bonus. So I could sleep now, which is super important because I need sleep to heal. Still in pain. So we're now on week 4, maybe even 5. And she's like, well, you know, I don't know what else to do. You're going to have to take the Lyrica. It's going to have to build up in your system so that it can help you. And here we are into week 9. I just started week 9, and it's still not really helping. Like, I take it because I think I need to, and it's not really helping. So about 2 weeks ago, I was getting ready to leave for our Sensi convention. You're all saying, how are you doing that? I'm like, I had to. I had no choice. I knew I was going to be in pain. I bought a cane to help me walk so that if my legs gave out, it wouldn't cause an issue, or at least it would help me. I rented a scooter while I was there at convention, so that helped so that I didn't have to walk so much. But I'm still in pain to this day, and so like I'm having this 8-hour car ride that I'm going to have to stop like every half hour or so that I can get up and stretch and walk, because I can only sit for so long, but I can only walk for so long. The night before I left, my PA called me, and she said, I've been researching this, and I had been too, so I was hoping to get the same information that she did. And that's when I found out that she was like, this is a rare disease. Like, not a lot of people know about it. Not a lot of people have it. It is progressive. And I'm going to have to work this with you. Like, we're going to have to work this together. And so she decided that she wanted to talk to the gastroenterologist, yeah, to see if there was a medicine I could take that would prevent stomach ulcers, if that would allow me to have a steroid shot in my back. And she is thinking that that potentially could help because the cortisone shots that I was having in my hip were helping. So there's the correlation, right? We think that that could potentially be helpful with pain management. So that was what she was going to work on while I was gone, because she also had to call my surgeon to see if that was an acceptable route to take, if it was going to be helpful to help relieve some of my pain. So she also was going to do a referral into Dr. Fagenbaum in Texas. Don't know how my insurance is going to take that because it's out of network, out of state. It's a specialty surgery. Who knows? I know somebody here on YouTube that it took at least a year to get processed through. She did do a referral to a surgeon in the state, down in the Portland area, that refused. They said I was non-operable. Okay, so here's what's happening is these surgeons know that whatever is going on inside of me is not something that they can tackle. And so luckily, up until this day, they've refused service for me. Chiropractor, hip surgeon, osteo, right? And now, again, this back surgery. So that's good, because I also have talked with somebody that's had this surgery that did have a local surgeon do it, and now they're having a lot of trouble. They're struggling. There's a lot of issues that are happening. So this is what I know so far. Tarlov Cyst Disease are cysts that grow from your spine and fill with spinal fluid, but they cannot be removed. Because if they're removed, you're actually cutting areas of the spine that could potentially cause you to be paralyzed. You're dealing with your spine, right? So there's a lot of issues there. So I guess what they do, and I'm speculating here because of things that I've watched, they go in, they slice open the cyst, they drain it, get rid of the fluid, and then I think they cauterize the insertion point of where the fluid is coming in that would refill that cyst, and then they wrap it or fill the cyst with fat or something. I forget what it is, but then they wrap it to keep it from refilling. Here's the problem, and this is why they say that it's progressive. They could go in, do that surgery, and fix those 2 cysts that I have, and 2 more cysts will grow somewhere else. That's the problem. And so psychologically, I'm struggling with the fact that this could progressively get to the point where I'm bedridden and in a lot of pain, because the only way that you can relieve the pain is to lay flat, and that's not always the case, right? Or to relieve the pressure by laying down. I have Sensi. Sensi will allow me to work from the bed, right? I don't know if I can have surgery. I don't know if I should have surgery. I don't know if I should just try to pain relieve myself for the rest of the time. I mean, I only have 2 right now. I know somebody on YouTube here who has 8 and had 7 of them managed, but that one is still giving them an issue. Some of them may not be able to have surgery on them. I don't know. This is so fresh and so new for me. And scary. I don't know what this brings, and I do get emotional about it, and I do fight it because I'm that independent person and I'm supposed to be strong, right? There's a lot unknown right now, and I am not 100% sure what this is going to look like. There are one person that I know that I've actually had the ability to communicate with, and I'm so grateful for that, that has gone through her own journey. She's the one that had surgery from a local doctor and is struggling. So, I mean, there are things that can be affected by this, especially when they're in the sacral area. All of your nerves are down there. That's where they all meet. And so what's happening is these cysts are pushing against the nerves, and that's what's causing the pain, and it's nerve pain. Now, my T11 hemangioma causes me pain every now and then. It hasn't grown, so I don't think it's a tumor. I don't believe that it's cancerous. There's no real way to find out unless they go in. It doesn't look cancerous, they're saying, so we're gonna go with that. And if you're somebody that has Tarlov Cyst Disease, I would love for you to reach out. I would love to have your journey so that I can know maybe things to avoid, maybe things to do that help with pain. Ice seems to help quite a bit. Others have said heat helps a little bit. I have a hot tub. I do have ice packs. I do both. It does give me relief, but not for very long. We're going on 9 weeks. 9 weeks of pain right now. And I know that is a very short amount of time for some of the people that are out there that have dealt with this for years. That scares me. That makes me nervous. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I don't have my independence. I don't like asking for help. I'm not good at it at all. The majority of my day is spent alone because my husband works in the woods. I don't know what that looks like. And my husband laughs at me. He's like, she's got to get it straight in her head. And right now, it ain't straight in my head. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. Lots of people do. And that's what I have to keep remembering. There are people who are worse off than me. This is not going to kill me. This is not a fatal disease, but it is a disease that can make me bedridden. I need to stay positive. I need to stay in that zone of, I got this, we're gonna lick it, we're gonna figure it out. I'm hoping that the advancements that have been made in the medical field are going to be to my benefit, and that something is going to cure me. Something is going to make this livable. Something is going to, listen, I've seen God do miracles. I asked him for one, even though I know I'm not worthy of it. That could happen. I don't know. I don't know. I know this is a very long video, and if you're still watching to the end right now, I love you. And you're a very persistent and patient person. So that's the beginning of my journey. That's the beginning of my next phase of my life. And I'm going to share as much as I can with you when I feel that I can. I know that there are others that have shared their journey about this, and there have been moments that it goes 6 months, a year before they do updates. And if that happens, I'm sorry that it doesn't happen quicker. Maybe it's just because I don't feel like doing a video. Maybe you need to follow me on Instagram or on Facebook on my journey page, my Mindful Journey page that I have there. All of that information should be down below. But pray for me. If you're a praying kind, or you want to send some positive mojo or thoughts my way, I would take them right now. All right. I love all of you. Thanks for joining me here. And when I have more information, I will continue to update you. Love ya.